want you to see today as a meditation exercise. Just sit back, close your eyes, and listen. Let us now examine existence as if we are in a universe that orbits through the crystal of time. Our physical experience gives us that of space and conscious preparations, a constant crunching of electromagnetism to matter's manifestation. One way this is achieved by stationary motion would be by the body being at constant acceleration at light speed through an ocean of infinitely long scaled waveforms. There are two basic emotions associated with a never-ending, smooth, constant acceleration. One would be to have a continuous force from behind, and the other is to be in a constant velocity while changing directions around a circular path or arc. The Big Bang. Let us now quickly cover what is currently accepted. From the evidence, there was a Big Bang followed by subatomic lava. The subatomic particles then coalesced and formed elements, and so on. There is much evidence to suggest this is the case. However, what was the source of the Big Bang? Why did it take time for subatomic particles to come into existence? Why is the universe expanding now? Where is it going? There are many questions left unanswered. With every new sense of awareness comes a new sense to question and a new realm to explore. With our new model, the crystal of time, let us see if we can answer some of these questions associated with the Big Bang theory. The moment when the universe collided with time. Consider our single-celled organism with its single sense of wall or no wall. This sense let us know of a physical body, the Earth. The sense of light let us know of physical bodies, the sun and the universe. Here too, we will say that our sense of time, our clock, lets us know that there is a physical structure. It is the crystal of time. The Big Bang was when our universe collided with the crystal of time. At that initial moment, science argues that particles did not exist and time did not exist. Here we say, time existed before our universe entered. Let us take a look at a universe that is on a collision course with the center of time. The very first event would be that the universe would collide with the barrier of the crystal. This event is known to modern science as the Big Bang. Immediately after the Big Bang, you could say that the universe was too hot for particles to solidify. It was in a state of subatomic lava. Maybe it was too hot, or was it too cold? Was the soup not the right temperature or nature to solidify? Is that a fundamental property of the universe or time? Subatomic Goldilocks. Let us consider the concept of the Goldilocks paradox for the planets within our solar system. It was said that Venus was too hot for life, Mars was too cold. However, Earth was just right for life to flourish. Earth is in what we call the habitable zone around the Sun. It is a distance from the star that allows for water to be in all three phases: solid, liquid, and gas. When the universe first entered time, it does not seem to have been in a favorable location for subatomic particles to form. You could say that time was too hot and dense there. There was a sort of thick crust of time, as the universe collided, breaking through, then sinking deep. Subatomic particles started to solidify as the universe found a more favorable position within the orbit of time, one where matter could exist and light could travel. What is that boundary distance from the center of time where matter exists? What could potentially create this subatomic Goldilocks zone? Perhaps it is the moment or place of conscious crunching. It is where the acceleration towards center is equal to the speed of light. It is where matter is in constant manifestation. What does that mean? What could that imply? Could there be other distances from the center of time where matter may manifest and therefore physical reality? Is there another distance from the center to where peaks of manifestation may overlap? Let us logically think of how waves overlap to create nodes of manifestations. It may be logical to think that for every common factor of event distance from center, a reality may be habitable. Event distance from center. The wave in the image depicts an event. Consider the multiple habitable zones as depicted in the image. Each one of these zones is at a harmonic distance from the center. There would be zones between where our ability of conscious crunching would not overlap properly with the space preparations to create a constant and steady state of manifested reality. In these fluid zones of time, realities as we know it would not make much sense because our bodies would not be able to manifest. We and all matter would be solely mind and spirit. You could imagine that the first distance of habitability would be that of one wavelength from center. The next distance would be that of 2 wavelengths, and so on. As we approach the habitable zones from the fluid, we would see matter begin to coalesce and universes filled with galaxies emerging. The same event may be experienced completely differently depending on which habitable zone you are in. The zone of residence may be determined by the original amount of energy the universe had when it first entered time, and potentially how long it has been orbiting or existing within time. What would be the difference between habitable zones? You could imagine that your centripetal acceleration is equal to the velocity squared divided by the radius. By examining the relationship between acceleration and radius, a velocity may be equated. For example, our acceleration must be equal to the speed of light. Therefore, a equals 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second squared. This leaves 2 variables which may decide the locations of safe habitable zones for human consciousness: velocity and radius. A spiral of perception. Spiral of A equal to C, associated with changing V. For example, if A is equal to C and you have a radius of 1 meter, then your velocity squared must be equal to C in order for human consciousness to perceive manifested reality. Let us look at an example that shows only variations of velocity and distance. We will keep our centrally directed acceleration equal to the speed of light. We will be using generic manifestation units as our distance from center. What you see is as the distance from center increases, the velocity needed to maintain light speed acceleration towards center increases as well. In the simplest words, the further from the center you are, the faster you need to go to perceive reality, or multiples of the proper wavelength. The feeling of constant acceleration is directly related to the constant change in velocity, while maintaining a constant speed tangent to the center. What you notice is that the combination of velocity and radius makes a spiral pattern of where your acceleration towards center is equal to the speed of light. Let's assume constant velocity. It is always dangerous to make assumptions. However, for this model, we will assume a constant velocity through time, as in, the flow of time is uniform. The velocity of the universe around the center of time relates directly up to how quickly events would be experienced. Therefore, you are left with a series of rings in which matter may be perceived by human consciousness. There would be time dilations associated with the angular velocity differences between events. In other words, consciously experiencing an event on an outer ring would take more time than experiencing an event in one of the inner rings. You can say that everything is happening all at once in the center, a sort of time singularity, where all events overlap. Near the outer rings, events seem to take longer. However, the clocks would tick at the same rate as an event at the inner ring. The main difference is the perceived length of the experience. The easiest way to see this is to look at what we would call event density. It is the arc length divided by the number of field lines. The number of cognitive snapshots a user undergoes per event traveled is related to the arc length and velocity. You can see that at the center all the lines converge and form a singularity. Events would be happening simultaneously. If you were to extend this ring outward, events at infinity would take an eternity to unfold in mind, and there would be no overlap.